Yay! Okay, so we should be going live any second.
Any
And if you
second.
want to, you can share by going to my YouTube channel, Y.O.U University, and just hit share, and everyone can see us live. I'll do that when you're talking. Yay! Okay, so we should be going live any second. Yay!
Do I need to put my headphones in? Because I heard that in echo.
Nope, that was just me. It was just on. Okay, everybody, welcome. I know this is always like a rough start because YouTube just starts when it wants to start. But if you are new to Y.O.U University TV and the Y.O.U Living Authentically You show, my name is Lisha Antica, and I'm a transpersonal therapist. I'm the founder of Y.O.U University and all our master classes and just self-discovery genius that we have. And I work with people to, on a personal note, to help them step into their authenticity, but really end cycles of abuse and recreate a healthier, happier you. I work with men and women, and that's what I do. But every Monday I get together with somebody that I just see shining, that I see is authentically, radically living their truth and rocking it out. And that I can just say, hey, how did you do that? How did you do that? And today is a dear friend of mine, Mythica, and I can see her love beside her, but she's next week, so she can't come on video right now. But her and her love are, and Julie are absolutely amazing. Julie will come and talk about how she stepped into her own authenticity and really just how you guys live and who you guys are and how you show up in the world is amazing. But Mythica, you might recognize from Skin Wars, possibly. I know. But
now on Netflix.
And she is also just one of the most amazing visual artists that I have ever met and watched play in all over the world. Literally, I've watched her travel the last couple of years, like all over, just painting human canvases in all different types of art and artistry around the world. And to step into a field that is so new and so radical, and so fun and so naked and so raw, and be the artist on that stage, and then be yourself. I mean, just look at her, you guys. Like, she's a friggin' bald woman. Like, how like, that's radical in itself, right? And then yeah, you just saw her partner, so boom, she's gay too. So it's like and loving it, like the most light and pure and happy and joyous and giving and like, fuck yeah, human that I get to know. And luckily I know a lot of people like us, you know. I really truly do. I'm truly blessed. Like, I don't become friends or spend my time calling and hanging out with people that aren't real. It just doesn't fucking happen. That said, Mythica, last week I decided she was going to be on the show, and I informed her on Friday. She said yes, and then I gave her the wrong time, so that's why we're late, everybody. All right, so Mythica, please introduce yourself. Say hello to my growing and lovely community here at Y.O.U University TV. And you know, today is going to be all about how you began your journey to step into this radical authenticity that you live, and how it continues to shift and change, right? Because we don't like just arrive. Like, going through questions right now within myself of like, well, where's my reality right now? What do I want right now? So anyway, we're going to talk about all that juicy stuff. Hit it. I'll shut up. I'm going to share.
There you go. Get it. There we go. Oh, well, thank you so much. All right. So first thing you asked me was to tell a little bit about myself. So for anyone who wants to, very easily, they can go on to Netflix or steal a Netflix login account. It's very easy to do, or get a friend who has Netflix to give you a login account. doesn't matter. There's a decent chance that you can have access to it long enough to go on and watch Skin Wars season 1. I'm on the very first episode, and the rest of them wouldn't have really happened if season 1 wasn't successful, and my storyline was a part of that. At the time, I was homeless, and so the when I did end up leaving the show, it was like, um, okay, go back to being homeless.
Wow.
And the equivalency of what they paid us to be on the show, if you worked it out over the time that you put into it, it was worked out to about $2 an hour. Or it was the equivalent of $100 for a body paint.
Wow.
So it was not livable money that we got for being on there. No. And so because of that, I went back to my regularly scheduled life, and then for 6 months could not tell anybody about it. That was that's pretty hard.
That was, I bet.
That was tough.
6 months. So you went from homeless to on the show that was going to be a huge hit, but you didn't know, to homeless. And then you couldn't say, hey, I just did this really cool thing. I made it. Okay. But since then, so much has happened.
A lot has happened.
Obviously, you're not homeless. I've seen you travel all over the world doing what you do. I see you in quarantine getting to paint the exquisite body of your wife. Her body is incredible. I'll just, my own personal opinion. and just really shining. So when did that pivot happen? Like what happened?
So one of the things that happened for me is that after the show, I was given all kinds of promises, saying stuff like, I had other friends that had been on other reality shows prior to Skin Wars coming out. And they're like, yeah, what's going to happen is like, you're going to get on the show, and then people are going to be like, hey, we'd love to sponsor you, or hey, we want to hire you for events because you've been on TV, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
None of that happened. And that October was actually financially the worst October I've ever had, because not only did people not hire me or contact me for anything, my regulars didn't even call me up because they were like, oh, well, she's been on Skin Wars, she's probably already booked. So they didn't even try. They didn't even try to call.
And I think that's so valid for what's happening in quarantine for so many people too. Oh, she's going to be so booked up, so forget it. Yeah. Always call, you guys. Always call.
Yes. And then other people were like, well, you were on Skin Wars, so you were probably too expensive. So a bunch of people just talked themselves out of it. And so I woke up one night in October in the middle of the night, and I had 30 puffs left on my inhaler. I was using it about 4 times a day. Because for asthma, because it was the middle of winter. And so I didn't have the money to buy a new inhaler. Didn't have Medicaid, Medicare, like nothing, so there's a bunch of stuff that you can get, but only if you have an address.
Yeah.
So if you don't have one, like, you don't have access to a lot of things. Wow. And I was temporarily staying at places, and so I just woke up in the middle of the night, and I was like, if I don't change something, the best of my life is going to have been behind me. And I remembered a previous time where I role played for a long period of time another person to get myself out of my problems. And I was like, I have to do that again because, you know, Albert Einstein says that you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. Isn't that great?
It's such a great one.
Such a
Yeah,
great
I
one.
use that quote all the time because it's true. We have to get above and outside of ourselves or inside of ourselves. I think that well, I don't know why I feel like telling you like people this, but you guys, like when you go through some sort of trauma, usually your soul leaves, your life essence, your power leaves you, and then we try to create this change that you're talking about by leaving, right? And it's about coming back in and embodying and shifting. Anyway, go for it.
Yeah.
What happened? So you were recreating. You were going to recreate,
So
do something different.
yeah, I love live action role playing games and role playing and everything else. And I had done this once before, and it was really, really good for me. But I hadn't thought of it for whatever reasons until this moment that woke me up in the middle of the night. And I knew, I was like, that's what I got to do. So I sat down and I created a character to role play for a year. And so that's what I did. And can you go get me a copy of my book? It's on my desk. And so I shifted everything. Like I changed the way that I looked at food, exercising, money, all that kind of stuff. And that's where my book, The Power of Pretend, is. It's all based on that.
That's so cool. I didn't even know you had that book.
Yeah, this is my book. It's on Amazon, and you just type in The Power of Pretend, Mythica Von Griffyn, and boop, pops up. So yeah, I have a published book.
I love that.
It's basically about how
Will you send me the link and we'll put it under here?
Yeah, well, basically, the way that I
on
recommend the link
Amazon?
is just by going to Amazon, typing in those two things, and clicking on it.
So what did you shift from? So there was Mythica. How did you look at yourself? I mean, you had been on Skin Wars. You are an incredible artist. So all of that was obviously still you.
But see, at that time, the network it was on was called Game Show Network. The only thing anyone knows about the Game Show Network, the only reason anyone even knows that, they don't even know the name of that channel.
Yeah.
They just know it's when you're channel flipping, it's the channel that has Family Feud on it. Okay. Like that's the only way that people know what that channel was. Yeah. So at the time, Skin Wars had only been seen by 1 million people, which is no different than one viral video.
Yeah. Yeah.
One viral video, you know? And so at that time, it wasn't on Netflix. And, you know, this was supposed to be my big way to get out of my mess. And that just didn't. I put all my financial eggs in the basket.
What about, like, what shifted in this character that got you out of your mess?
Well, I kind of looked at all the things that were wrong and created a character that would know how to have a different relationship to the things that were absent in my life. So had a different relationship to food and eating, had a different relationship to exercise, and had a different relationship to finances. And then, so a different relationship to money. And then the other part was that I wanted to be in a good place to attract my future beloved.
You do.
Obviously, that worked.
So it worked completely. So basically, I mean, what you did was you just reinvented yourself. But the freedom came when you got to say, well, I'm just going to play a character. Because what I feel in that, and tell me if I'm wrong, but what I feel in that is you gave yourself this character to play. So you had a game, you created a game, which is on emotional intelligence, really high spectrum. It's a phase 4 high spectrum creating a game, right?
Yep.
So you created a game, and in that game, you were like, I'm just going to pretend like I know how to do all these things that have been plaguing me forever. And that allowed you to say, oh, here's a new outcome. That
Yep.
allowed you to also shift that game. Right. So at any time you could drop that character and say, oh, well, I'm going to do another character. And some people
Well,
might
the
think,
thing
oh, well,
is,
this sounds like split personality disorder. Right.
but here's the thing. Technically speaking, we all do it.
Right.
We just do it for shorter periods of time. So for example, when you're with your kids, you got your mom hat on.
Right.
But you wouldn't have your mom hat on when you're with your boyfriend. Then you've got your girlfriend hat on.
Yeah.
Like the behaviors that you have with your kids, you would not have those behaviors and mannerisms with your boyfriend, because that would just be like, then you would be mothering your boyfriend, and that wouldn't turn out well, right? You know?
Yeah.
Similarly, when you as an adult go over to your mom and dad's house, you get to put on the daughter hat, and you do not act or have mannerisms that are the same when you are in the presence of your parents that
Right.
you do with your boyfriend.
Right.
Like, so we shift into these phases. They're just shorter or smaller phases, and they're not necessarily as drastic or dramatic, but we definitely do that. And then when we are in business mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen you in sort of these different modes, and this is a different mode
Yeah.
than this mode over here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
like
sure.
this one has color coordinated lipstick to shirts.
That just happened to happen. But doesn't this lipstick make my teeth look so white?
You look fantastic, right? But what I'm saying is it's a different mindset. This mindset is very different than some of the other ones that I've seen you in. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
you're having split personalities or anything. It's
No.
just they're different modes
I
of
like to see
functioning.
them as like different hats, right?
Yep.
And
Different
for
hats.
me, like I have my who I want to be, like my character.
Yeah.
And my same character comes in to all of them, but it looks a little bit differently. So I have confident, successful, secure, powerful, and influential. Those are things that are important to me as far as characters. Those look very different. A confident in the bedroom looks different than confident in business, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
secure looks different. You know, if I'm talking about financial security, that looks like one way where we're secure in who I am and what I want and my intentions. Like that's another, you know. So it's like even that same platform has different views.
Exactly.
So let's talk about money, because that's a huge shift in going from homeless
Yes.
to not homeless and traveling the world doing a thing, right? And is a big deal.
Yeah.
So how did that shift? I'm sure a lot of people want to know that, especially in this time with this character.
So that shift comes from what I would call quantum physics. Okay. That shift comes from having a different relationship to money. So one of the things that I knew when I shifted the character is like, I need to be around people who have a different relationship to money than I do. So enter in our very mutual, wonderful friend, Faith Young.
Yes.
And her Wealthy Women Empowering Wealthy Women. So I got into that group, and I got to be around women who had a successful and different relationship to money.
Yeah.
So I got to model off of how these wonderful, amazing women had a different relationship to money.
Yeah.
And so I was able to model based off of them. And that shifted me physically, mentally, emotionally to money. And then
So I
because,
want to just pause right there because
okay,
what she just said, you guys, is so important. And I don't think that we do it enough. But I talk a lot about knowing what you know, knowing what you don't know, and then being open to knowing that there's shit that you just don't know that you don't even know, right? And so if you haven't had or been around a successful relationship with anything, be it a human being, a business, money, you've never had an experience before that you want to have, right? And maybe you don't even know what you don't even know that you don't even know. Hey, and you can do this you can do this shift, this quantum shift from here to here beyond having to decipher and cognitively figure out and like work through and blah, blah, blah. This getting to know what you don't know. And you can just shift by mirroring people, by surrounding yourself with people and then emulating them, just like a kid does your parents. This is how we learn, but we can do it at any age. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out because that's what you're doing. Is you're taking that quantum thing. You're like, I don't even know how to have a relationship with money in the way that this way. So I'm going to surround myself with people that have a relationship with money that seems to be healthy and brilliant, right? And I'm going to not beat myself up about it anymore. I'm just going to pretend to have their relationship with money until I feel it. I connect with it. I am it. Okay, so keep going.
yep. And uh, and then something happens which most of us would akin to magic. So various things started happening, like an old college classmate that I had lost touch with um, had me pop into her mind, and she went on the internet, found me on Twitter, and messaged me and said, "Hey, I remember how creative you were. I'm in this new job. We want to do this creative project. Um, I'd like you to meet my boss in the next 24 hours." So I went in, and they're like, "Okay, so we want 4 panel paintings, and then we want you to body paint um, these dancers into each painting, and then have them do a performance piece on the 16th Street Mall."
You're like, yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And they're like, "So we want to pay you $6,500 for that." At the time, I had not made more than $3,000 in an entire year.
Oh my gosh.
So here was a project that was double, more than double, almost triple what I had made in any of the years previous
Yeah.
in a single project. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of a quantum shift or change. That it's really beyond what you can imagine. Like, most people can't sit here and say, I can imagine tripling my income while being in such scarcity.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean about being around other people that have a different relationship to money to make a quantum leap, because the leap is beyond what you can cognitively wrap your brain around. If you try to cognitively wrap your brain around it, you're going to crash.
Yeah. So, how do you feel now? Where are you right now?
Well, right now we're in the middle of the coronavirus, right?
Right.
And I'm finding myself right now, currently, as of like right now
Right
today,
now. Yes.
um, putting myself through another shift so that I can move beyond this, because my life has been around body painting and being in events with thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
And for the foreseeable future,
That's my own.
that's just not in the deck of cards, right?
Yeah.
So I'm back to a place where I'm needing to reinvent myself. And I've had another one of those shifts like in the past 2 to 3 days. Like this is like day 3 of my shift.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that I need a new relationship to money, because my old way of earning it simply doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't exist anymore that way. Like going to EDM festivals all over the country, like Ultra Festival and, Burning Man, Las Vegas, California, Chicago, Key West, all
I was
these
gonna say
really,
Miami. You were down there too.
right? All these super big festivals.
Yeah.
Those are, in my season was going to start on, it usually starts um, the weekend of St. Patrick's Day. But St. Patrick's Day weekend is when all this started. So the beginning of my season went.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the middle of reinventing myself right now. But as you can see, I'm not sitting here going, oh my God, I'm like so freaking out because like, oh, I'm like, oh, it's just time to do it again.
Recreate who you want to be. And I think this is so pivotal for this interview series because it's not that we're stagnant. Life happens, things happen, our circumstances shift, our relationships shift, our money situations shift, our kids grow up, our people shift. Um, like there's constant movement
Oh yeah.
as we get older and as we experience more and more in life. And if we have to be this stagnant, condensed, like, well, I learned everything and I defined myself already, and I like this is who I am and this is what I do, it creates pain. Right? So I love that you give this idea of creating a new character to create this pivot shift. So how would you advise somebody to kind of start creating their character?
So I came up with my own game called the Opposite Game. It's in chapter 2 of my book.
Okay.
And I'm actually, one of the things that I'm currently working on is, so I asked a bunch of my friends to get together with me and I'll work on separate projects. So I'm actually going to make a separate book for the Opposite Game itself.
Oh, cool.
So gamifying again. But usually when you say to people, okay, you can invent whatever you want to be, what do you want? And they're like, well, what if I choose the wrong thing? What if, like if I choose this, am I saying no to that? Or like if I make this one wish, well, do I only get 3 wishes? And
Right. Yeah.
how do I pick, right? And so a lot of people very often get stuck on, when you tell somebody that anything is possible, the sometimes what to choose, they get frozen in a loop of choice. Like, I could choose this or I could choose that, or how do I know I'm making the right choice? I mean, like, what if I want to do this and I'm not really good at it? Like, then I miss my opportunity over here when this showed up, and they go, and it's crazy, right? But if I ask you, I'm going to ask you personally, okay?
Me personally?
You personally, okay?
Okay.
This is how this works. What kind of relationship do you want to never, ever have again? Like you never want to have blank happen to you ever freaking again. How clear is that for you?
It's pretty clear.
That's really clear, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want to never have what happening ever again. You were like, this is no, do not go past this. We're not going to even work on this stuff. This is just not happening. Like, no.
Any sort of abuse.
Any sort of abuse.
Any sort of abuse.
All right. So
Mental,
any
physical,
sort of,
sexual, spiritual.
that's it. We are done with that.
That's it.
That's
I
it.
walk away. Wash
Done.
hands. Thank you. I recognize you. And I just miss you from my storyline.
Thank you and goodbye.
Yeah.
All right. So that is super clear. So what we do with the opposite game, just general gist, right? Is you start off with, I never want to have to experience blank ever again.
Okay.
Right? So I never want to have to experience this, to I don't experience this.
Yeah, I don't experience that. I can definitely don't experience that.
Right? You know,
Yeah.
so but the thing is that you have to kind of just table up each little
bit by little bit.
Each little bit, right?
Okay.
From like, because like I don't experience this because I'm no longer with that asshole. I don't know. Can I say that on your show?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We can do anything we want.
All right. Well then. And
now we get a striptease, everybody.
Right. And then you go from I don't want to ever have to experience that to I don't experience that.
Yeah.
And then the next level is the next tier of what you can jump from that that's believable. Okay.
Yeah.
If it goes into not believable, it doesn't
once it crosses that line, so you start wherever you're at. So if it was like a relationship with money, we'll just keep it there. I never ever want to experience, well, not knowing where the money, like not having faith that the money is coming again.
You know, so it could be the person that I first did it with talked about rent, paying rent. Mm-hmm. So you know, you go, so the next one goes to I pay the rent on time.
Yeah.
I pay the rent not only in time but in cash.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah. Not only do I pay the rent on time with cash, but I even pay it 2 to 3 days in advance.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
I not only pay my rent in cash, now I pay it a whole month in advance.
Ooh.
I now pay my rent not only in cash, but 3 months at a time in advance.
See, this turns my body on. Like I can literally feel like I'm like I had this, I just had the 3 month in advance gave me like a visceral, like, I don't know how to explain it.
Right? There's this sense of relief. You're like,
you're like, that's where it's at.
Like, wouldn't that be so good? Right? And then when you start getting those visceral responses, that's when you know that you've gotten past your subconscious and you've gotten it into the lower part, into your physical body. Now you can imagine it, because then physically, right, you open up, you're like, your arms are like this in the back of the chair. It's like, now you can actually imagine it. Now you can feel it. Now it feels expansive. So once you're able to feel that visceral response, guess what starts getting attracted to you? Those opportunities which actually produce, I can pay it 3 months in advance in cash so that I can feel this, right? And then you can take the opposite game as far as you want in terms of like, now that I can pay my rent 3 months in advance, I qualify for owning my own home. Now you're out of rent. Now you're into owning your own home. Right? So you can just keep expanding the opposite game until you, but every tier has to be believable from the next tier.
And you can do it in different categories. I mean, I know
all over the
for
place.
most people, like money, right? And relationships, and then health. Like those are the three big ones that we want to shift.
It is.
And so you could just take those three and play the opposite game. And then how do you shift from that opposite game into the character?
So what it does is it gives you a frame of reference for how you want to live, be, do, have in the world. And once you have that context, that gives you, so to speak, the skeleton, the bones of your new character, you know? So my new character, right? So I'm in the middle of this right now. My new character is so at peace that she has no need to be right about wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. My new character is so at peace with the whole coronavirus thing, that she is healthy, and so the coronavirus is immaterial to her. Right? Because everything's over the fear of getting it, and all that does is attract it to you.
Yeah.
So if you're at peace, there's no attraction.
Yeah.
There's I saw that shift in you. I saw that, right? That was a nice little shift with you. With like, oh, right? You had a breath.
There's just no resistance.
Yeah.
And I felt that, like, that's been my shift a lot with finances the last year. And too, just like, also just resistance. I'm just going to choose to have faith, have trust, like magically, wonderfully, beautiful, more than enough. Right. And then it's a shift in relationship too. Right? And it's like, oh, well, what do I want? Where am I? How does this feel? Where is my truth? Right. And being able to really analyze and look at and feel out your own truth and discover it. That's what Your Own University is all about. It's not about right or wrong, like you said, right? It's about having peace with whatever you choose to do.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah.
So right now, I'm just looking at the things that I'm currently in resistance to, currently that I'm fighting, currently that I don't like, and being like, okay, if I'm resisting this, what would I like? Would I like a lot of something, or would I just like peace, which would give me something that I haven't defined, which might be bigger than I can possibly imagine?
Yeah.
Right?
I think I just did a YouTube video on resistance. If not, I did a live talk on resistance. I know I did as part of the Unstoppable Confidence group. Resistance is huge, and it's such a big tale. And resistance really goes right along with what are you not only like resisting, because sometimes resistance can be a good thing, right? It's like, oh, I really need to leap into this. So being able to have
my friend Zach says, are you resisting resistance?
Right. Are you resisting resistance? Like, is the resistance telling you, yes, definitely go there because this is going to break your ego barrier? Or is resistance like really telling you, I don't like this? So what you're tolerating, looking at what you're tolerating alongside what you're resisting is going to tell you, oh no, like, this is part of my character that needs to shift. I'm ready for an upgrade here because I'm no longer willing to tolerate this unpeace. Is unpeace a word? We're going to create it right now.
Okay. But yeah, so that's how I use what I don't like to create what I do want in my life. Like I said, I'm gonna work on a book that's just for the opposite game itself, just to go into different examples and how people can use it and help create and find what they actually do want, because a lot of people know exactly what they don't want to ever have to do again, or what they don't want in their life, and that actually informs what they do want.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's so much easier for us to see. I mean, I've trained myself to figure out what I do want without having to play that devil's advocate of what don't I want. But I was not taught that. I was taught to look at what wasn't going right. I was taught to look at how to, like, the problem so I could solve it. I was taught to look at the negative and what I needed to fix about myself and the criticalness. I mean, that's what was emulated to me by the world around me, magazines and everything, school and grades, and my parents, like, completely. Nobody taught me how to work the muscle of, well, what do I really want? Right? What feels juicy and orgasmic and delicious and pleasurable and fun? Like, what?
Those are
Nobody
all
taught me
my
how to do that.
favorite buzzwords.
I know. I had to learn, and it was really uncomfortable. It was super uncomfortable. I remember it was about 10 years ago, and I was introduced to this book, The Pleasure Principle by Gina something, and oh my God, it's one of my first coaching programs. So it was in 2010, and I was like, I can't do it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. All I could think about is what I didn't want. All of it. I knew what I didn't want, and so I think it's a great place to start because that's what we're trying to do.
I also had some backlash with things with people who are like, what's this BS that you're doing? Because I have a bit of an accent and I didn't have it on the show. And they were like, what is this with this fake thing that you're doing? And I'm like, it's not fake. I just chosen to be authentically the way that this is my new way of being. I mean, good actors and actresses, the reason that we think that they're good is because they're being authentic in their portrayal.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a portrayal, and the truth of the matter is that there's some people that are good at that, and there's some people that it's like, man, you're not even trying.
Yeah.
I'm happy. There. Do you feel better? That's so inauthentic,
Right.
versus I'm happy, and
Yeah.
the two, it's like, he's being an asshole. You're actually happy.
Yeah.
Like sweet happy or something. And I'm like, I'm doing it because I love you, not because I actually feel this way. But thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's authentic. It's more authentic. Both people are unhappy, but one is being more authentic than the other. And so there's different levels to how you can do or play off of your authenticity. And
I love how you're making it off. Like, we think, oh, we're going to be our authentic self. And we get this all the time. Like, I can be like dealing with homework and things like that, and my, as a mother hat, right? And still in my confident, successful, security, peaceful, and influential character, right? But at the same time, like, I'm on my mom hat, and then I can step into here and I can be the teacher and in my power and the coach and who I am and everything, and be really like, this is not going good, I'm fucking frustrated over here, and then step in here and not be frustrated anymore. It doesn't mean I was inauthentic coming into this place, the authenticity comes with you in the moment. And I think that there's been a huge disservice to authenticity and being an authentic person, that we have to be in the same mood all the time. I mean, if I guess what's coming to mind right now is if you've ever seen a little kid, like you take away their toy and they're like, no, no, no. And then like you say, we're going to go to the store, and they're like, oh, okay. It doesn't mean that they were no 5 seconds ago. And then the puppy walks by or whatever, and they're like, oh, and they forget that that next phase is inauthentic. Our emotions aren't what makes us authentic or not authentic. Yeah. Our honesty, I think, with ourselves does. You know,
yeah, and I've had a lot of that kind of feedback with I'm not trying to be authentic or inauthentic, and I'm not even thinking about authenticity when I do my 333 videos. Yeah. And people will give me the feedback of like, I really appreciate how you're so authentic. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, because like one day you're doing great and you're fine with that, and then another time you're not doing great, but you don't try to hide that. Mm-hmm. And they're like, so I appreciate, because when I see you struggle, it makes me not feel so bad about myself struggling. Mm-hmm. Because you're amazing. Mm-hmm. You know. Yeah. And so being able to see me in whatever state that I'm at, like there's some people that feel the need to hide that about themselves, that they're struggling today. I think I do anyone who watches me a disservice by hiding that. Yeah. Because then I'm not giving them permission to feel their feelings. Right. Because they look up to me. Mm-hmm. I'm in that position whether I've asked to be put there or not. Yeah. So to some degree, I have a responsibility in terms of being authentically whoever I am today when 333 rolls around. Yeah. Which is beautiful. And today I'm spending that with you. I know. And you spent it with me and everybody. I got the hours wrong. So she said yes. And then I like took up her 333. So now she's going to authentically go and say, well, I did it late because I was here and you should listen to the interview, right? All right, you guys. Like the beauty of this interview, I think, and what I hope everybody walks away with is that you get to choose your character, and that you don't have to analyze and heal through and process all the shit forever and ever. You can, and we can, and we're programmed to mentally to quantum leap from what you don't know to what you know that you don't know or don't know to just being it through game playing and a positive enriching game playing of what would this character be, how can I be in this character, how can I step into more of my higher self, my true authenticity, and that it can shift moment to moment. Absolutely. And it's really about being honest with yourself, that then gives permission, no matter what your mood is, gives permission to everybody else around you to be honest with themselves. Because then we're creating this beautiful platform of self-acceptance and power to create ourselves in any given moment. Yeah. Yeah. So you just walked away. Like if you glean this, if you listen to it a couple times, you'll walk away with a complete formula to step into whomever you choose to authentically be in this lifetime, no matter what the fuck is happening right now or happened in your past. Yeah, and the more childlike you can be about it, the better the transformation is going to be. Yeah. The thing that I mentioned in my book is that as children, right, when we play house, right, nobody says, okay, I need to look up mommies, daddies, babies, and dogs, or the house puppy, and I need to research my character a bunch in order for me to role play properly playing house. Yeah. Right? Someone goes, you be the mom, you be the dad, you be the baby, and you be the dog. And everyone goes, okay. And then they just go into it, right?
Yeah.
You know, we're not sitting there going, what's my motivation? Like, right? It's more like just childlike play. And the more that we can step into just pretending from that space, the easier it is, you know? Because we've watched a ton of movies over the course of our lifetimes to see enough different types of characters that we could pull something off the cuff. We really could. It's in there. It really is in there. I promise it's in there. But the more childlike you can be with it, the easier the transition is going to be. Just play. You know, there's this saying, you know, he who is like a child shall enter the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
Right? And so be childlike. If you want to be happy, be childlike.
Beautiful.
I still play with my Legos. I'm happy.
True. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for being here, Mythica. Thank you for sharing this. I mean, this was like so much more than I thought. And definitely get her book, you guys. Where can they follow you?
You can follow me on Facebook. It's very easy, Mythica Von Griffyn. If you spell out my whole name. I have a business page, which is Neon Buddha, spelled Buddah. More of my artwork and stuff you can find on there. If you really want to follow me in my artwork, it's on Instagram, which is I Am Mythica. Twitter is I Am Mythica. Everything is I Am Mythica. Like my Facebook is even facebook.com/I Am Mythica. So I made that so that it would be super easy for anybody to find me or to follow me.
Perfect. And then hold up your book one more time. Yay. Can't miss it, you guys. Go to Amazon.
Can't miss it.
Grab it. And thank you for being my friend.
You're so welcome. Yeah. And if anyone, you know, that's in your network wants to, you know, have sessions with me to figure out how to make their character, I'd be more than happy to work with anyone who wants to do it, who wants to give it a go.
Cool. So just message her, you guys, message her. All right. If you like this and other things that we do here at Y.O.U University, please subscribe. You can get 50% off of your lifetime membership, meaning month to month. It's month-to-month thing. You can cancel anytime. You can get 50% off right now when you join Y.O.U University for all of our master classes, our daily love tools, our mastermind. And all you have to do is type in the word COVID. Yep. That is our magical password to get 50% off. It won't go on forever, but we are having it at least until the beginning of June. So you need to jump right in and get that. And as long as you're a member, you're going to get that 50% off forever and ever and ever. And other than that, you know how to reach me if you're looking for a coach. Now you know how to reach Mythica. And we love you much. Thanks for subscribing, sharing, and being a fan. Talk to you soon.